What is up, everyone? I hope you had an amazing weekend, but it's now time to start talking about the market again. So last week was a crazy week as Apple broke an all-time high. I was going to say a yearly high for a second, but it broke an all-time high. The market itself continued to run, and there were a bunch of crazy events. This week will also be pretty exciting as we head in towards the end of the year, which is normally very strong. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the best setups and predictions going into tomorrow and the rest of the week. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, the market was actually still doing pretty well last week overall. I know on Thursday and Friday, we started to see a little bit of pullback, and you can see the market was kind of downtrending here and started bouncing off this support end of day Friday right around 469, 470. And I'll be watching this support very, very closely as we head into this week. This level has been huge, and we've been seeing some rejections, especially up around 473, 474. So I'll be watching for the market to come up and maybe retest that high of this year. And as we've talked about, Mike, we go out to a daily on the SPY. It's sitting and almost double topping at the all-time high. I guess we can't really call it a double top yet since it just barely just got here, but we will have to see how this price action plays out and see if maybe some of the Santa rally will start to give up a little bit, right? Because we're at huge resistance, and with the seasonality, it looks actually pretty good heading into the end of the year here, but I feel like everybody is just worried about the market being too high right now, especially some of these tech stocks.
Exactly. And Tom, you just mentioned seasonality, so let's talk a little bit more about that. So basically what we can see in the chart right here is in the dark blue line, it basically shows the S&P 500's average movement from 1950 all the way up to 2022. In the lighter blue line, we could see how the market has moved so far this year. Most of the time, the market has a very strong end to the year, as we can see on this chart. But like Tom just said, the market has been absolutely blasting to the upside over the past month. So it brings like an interesting dynamic here in. But basically, these last couple weeks you normally end up being pretty strong. And, as long as this sentiment keeps up, technically there's nothing stopping it. But, of course, we have to take, each day as a unique day. And I think the biggest key, no matter what happens this year, will be being able to adapt, which is something we say all the time, but it's just so important that we have to keep mentioning it.
I know, right? And I will say this, the overall market has been following the sentiment this year pretty damn closely. I know that it's not like one-to-one, obviously, but I mean, even whenever we dip down a little bit, September, October, November, the market did that this year too. And then now we're getting that big rally up into the end of the year, and it's chasing that seasonality chart pretty well. It's actually a little bit above it right now. So I love this, Mike. I love seeing seasonality because this year it's been pretty spot on. Remember in September, we were actually really bearish, and it ended up being one of the most bearish months of the year and of the past couple years. So keep this in mind whenever we look at seasonality. I will say, Mike, the S&P 500 is right around that all-time high. The all-time high is up around 480. So maybe we'll get like that end of year run up into that 480 area, and then maybe we'll slow down a little bit. But who knows? Maybe we'll hit a new all-time high. Let us know in the comments what you guys think is going to happen end of year here, because I'll be really curious to read some of these, Mike. And some of the explanations people give are pretty good sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, another thing to mention right now is how investor sentiment is getting more and more bullish, as you'd expect. So basically what we can see on the chart right now is a chart that represents investor sentiment. The higher the line goes, the more bullish and euphoric people are, and the lower the line goes, the more fearful and bearish they are, right? Basically, we are just getting into that greedy slash, pretty bullish area of the investor sentiment chart, you can say. And, it just goes to show that just a couple months ago, people were pretty dang fearful, but it just shows how quickly that sentiment has shifted. And as long as it stays bullish, the market, has legs to keep going. So I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was worth noting.
Yeah, and look at all these other periods throughout history. It's like, this just really goes to show the emotions with traders, right, Mike? Because it's like, you'll see that the market, if we go out to a daily chart, sure, it was dipping a couple months ago, and back in, the end of October, people were calling for the next Great Depression, Mike. I mean, the sentiment was so bad. I mean, people were like, oh my God, we're going to have a financial collapse again. It's going to be like '08 or like 1930. And then now we're so high, everybody's like, oh my gosh, we're euphoric now. We're hitting new all-time highs. Nothing can stop the market. But those same exact people were so bearish just a couple months ago. I mean, it's pretty hilarious sometimes, like read back through some of the Discord messages even and seeing like, wow, like sentiment sure does shift awfully quick.
It happens literally every single time, Tom. Like, no matter what, no matter what year it is, no matter what situation, like when the market's falling, it's like, oh my God, the world's ending. And then it starts going up again, and it's like, all right, new all-time highs soon, right? And it just happens over and over and over again. But either way, keep a close eye on this data going forward. And I also saw something that was pretty interesting heading into the holiday season that basically shows how gas prices are at their lowest levels in like around 2.5 years. And some are speculating that, because of these lower gas prices, people have more money to spend going into the holidays. And, maybe because of that, we might see some extra strong consumer spending, which of course can help earnings going forward. So I thought that was kind of interesting and, wanted to mention it.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense on like a macroeconomic side of things. I mean, imagine, if people are saving a couple $100 a month, let's say, on gas, that's a pretty big deal, right? That could be a lot of presents, that could fuel a lot of spending, and of course, like just that with a couple people won't be realistic, right? But we're talking about the whole entire country here, so I like this data, Mike. I love that gas prices are getting lower, and people have been really upset about gas prices staying high for a long time, but we go look at like the gasoline futures, we go out to that daily chart, it's definitely good to see it coming down now. And I know that crude oil has been falling off quite a bit too, which has also been helping people. But what I will say, Mike, is crude oil and gas futures are both nearing pretty decent support. So we'll have to see if maybe it starts to pop back up or something soon. But it's definitely good to see this heading into the holiday season, and it'll just help everybody just that little bit more. And you mentioned some of those travel stocks. Like, man, they've been on fire. Like AAL, of course, DAL, LUV. Like the airlines have been loving the the lower gas prices, I'm sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So just a couple other things before we get into the fun stuff for today. We do have a couple stocks set to report earnings this week. What's on the schedule?
Yeah, Earnings Whispers is hitting us up with a nice Christmas theme now. They switched over to red. But on Tuesday, we're going to have FedEx, FDX reporting. That is going to be a huge report there on Tuesday in after hours. On Wednesday, we have Micron, which is a big chip stock, ticker symbol MU. We've talked about them a lot over the past 6 months or so. And then Thursday is the big day. We have CCL reporting, CarMax, and Nike right there Thursday. So 3 pretty big companies, CCL and Nike, will be on watch. I think my favorite one of the week, though, this time, Mike's going to be Micron, actually, just because it's in that semiconductor sector.
Yeah, some of those stocks have been super hot lately. And then for the economic schedule this week, basically there's nothing like too crazy, but basically on Tuesday before market open, there's some building permits data, but it's not going to be too important. On Thursday, there is some GDP data releasing 1 hour before market open. And then on Friday, there's like personal income, personal spending, and PCE data, all of which will be sent out 1 hour before the market opens. But that is that, Tom. So let's get right into some setups and predictions for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching super closely is BABA. So Chinese stocks have been seeing some decent inflows and some decent bullish momentum and price action over the past couple days. Alibaba had a pretty good day on Friday, but it wasn't anything like jaw-dropping. But either way, we've been seeing some recent big money trades with some of these Chinese stocks. They're at pretty big supports as well. And like I just said, they're just starting to get some bullish momentum with them. So I will be watching BABA to the upside pretty closely this week. I would love to see a break above like that $75.50 level. And, as long as the volume's there and the stock is moving in a big way, I think it definitely has some good potential this week.
I do too, Mike. These China stocks have been on fire and they're down around big support. So I could see some buyers definitely coming in here, especially with our market starting to like double top. A lot of these China stocks are kind of double bottoming right now. So I would much rather be buying the double bottom than the double top. But with my first play, I'm going with Enphase, and they actually started coming back from the dead a little bit last week, and they have a strong negative correlation to the SPY. So if they're able to break their high of day from Friday in pre-market right around like 126.80 or 127, I'm going to go ahead and look at calls this week. If we go to the daily chart on Enphase, they are up quite a bit the past couple weeks, but they have a lot of momentum, and these stocks are really starting to recover here. So I'll just watch for that breakout. As a target level, I have resistance right around 131, so I don't really see it going too much higher than there tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching is one that has been so popular lately, and it's AVGO. So basically, this stock has been blasting to the upside like none other, and it is way overbought. And the way I look at it is that this uptrend's going to slow down soon. Basically, it has a ton of momentum, which is great, but you know, at the end of the day, when you have a stock go from basically $900 a share all the way up to $1,150 a share in just a couple trading days, and the company is already worth $500 billion. That's just a move that's, too big too quickly, right? So the way I look at it is that this uptrend will slow down. That does not mean that it's going to fall all the way back to, $900 a share, but I could definitely see a pullback somewhere around that $1,100 range. You have to be, like, with these setups, it's not something where you just, like, short it immediately. You have to wait for that momentum to actually slow down and, shift. But either way, it's a stock I'm going to be watching super closely for a slowdown this week.
Yeah, me too, Mike. And I go back to May, and I saw that AVGO had another huge uptrend there. And look at the way it fell and started really consolidating up there around the top, and then it went flat for almost like a whole year straight. So I'll definitely be keeping this thing on the radar, Mike. And I'm with you. I think I'm definitely leaning on the side of it's got to be slowing down soon. And I actually feel bad for a lot of retail traders out there, and just a lot of traders in general, who are going to get stuck into this thing at the top at some point, right? Like right now it's euphoric, but once that downtrend starts happening, I'm going to feel pretty bad for the people who get stuck. So if you are one of those people, just try not to get stuck up there if you can. Trust me, your account won't like it. But my next play, I'm looking at Amazon for tomorrow, Mike, and we talked a lot about the seasonality coming in. A lot of people like to bring up a Santa rally. I think Amazon is one of the best stocks for one of those rallies, and it's actually making new highs of the year. And if we can break the high from Thursday and Friday, which is actually a pretty huge resistance here right at 150, but I would make it break 151, then go ahead and look at calls. Amazon is starting to heat up a little bit, Mike, and as these stocks make new highs of the year, they're going to be pretty enticing, especially, the ones like Amazon, right? Like when AVGO is already up this much, obviously it's not as enticing as like Amazon breaking a big resistance that it's just now getting above.
True that. Well, with that being said, Tom, let's get right into some of the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have UVXY to the upside.
Yeah, it's sitting right around $9. If it can break $9.05, go ahead and eye up those calls. I really like this one right now, Mike.
All right. With the next one, we have Netflix, but to the downside.
NFLX. Yeah, this one's looking pretty good here down. I have some nice levels here on the chart, so if they can break below 468, then eye up those puts.
All right. And then with the last one, we have Palantir for both directions.
Poor Palantir. I thought they were doing great Friday, and I could not believe the turnaround they had. So if they're able to break back above $18.50, then go ahead and eye up some calls. I think it could end up recovering. But honestly, Mike, it's looking pretty good down. So if they break under 18 even, then maybe eye up puts.
All right, so we have that downside level for puts, and we have the upside level for calls. This is for Palantir, so keep a close eye on this one. Don't forget about the downside level with Netflix. and then the upside level with UVXY. These 3 plays are only plays if they break the levels Tom listed, as they are breakout setups. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right into today's big money $900,000 trade of the day. And we are looking at ticker symbol MRCY. So I bet a lot of you have never heard of this company, and that's not a bad thing when it comes to unusual options activity. But basically, this company is involved in like aerospace and like defense and stuff like that. And long story short, a big money trader put 900 grand into the MRCY 35 strike call options that expire on February 16th of 2024. So this trade went through on Friday. Looking at MRCY, the stock is at a pretty decent level over the past couple years. It has definitely sold off quite a bit, but it has been holding its ground very well over the past couple months. And these types of stocks move a lot based off of, news and events and, new deals and contracts and stuff like that. And between the various wars and conflicts going on around the world right now, it should be no surprise that the aerospace and defense industry has a lot to gain from that. So either way, I think this trade is pretty interesting, and I'll definitely have a close eye on this one going forward.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like we look at like Lockheed Martin, we go look at General Dynamics, stocks like that. They're actually holding up pretty well. MRCY has been kind of falling off a little bit here, but I actually like the setup here. There's a big support down around $30 to $32, and as long as it keeps holding here, I think that there's good potential for this one to start to break 40 and start to run up towards like 45 or 50 again. So I'm definitely a fan of this big money play, Mike. And whenever I was looking into this company, it was extremely interesting, some of the stuff they do. I saw like heads-up displays for like jets and helicopters and different applications like that, and multiple other things that they do as well. So I'll definitely keep this one on watch, Mike. And I like that this play doesn't expire in like, 2 or 3 years as well, right? Like maybe they're looking for something here in the short term, which could be pretty big.
Yeah, exactly. So either way, keep a close eye on this one going into the next couple days and weeks. But Tom, on another note, over the past couple of weeks, we have seen a lot of individual stocks move in some pretty crazy ways, whether it is, some of these big tech stocks, or whether it is, a giant chip stock like AVGO, or, anything else lately. We have been seeing some pretty big moves in the market, and going into the end of the year, there should be a lot more big moves that should play out. And if you guys are really looking to capitalize off of this short-term momentum, definitely check out the StockedUp trading floor. It is the place to be for short-term trading. Basically anything and everything you could possibly need, we have, whether it is custom day trading bots, whether it is unusual options activity, aka daily multi-million-dollar trades, or long-term setups, or live events, or, our surge bot. Like, we have everything. Literally anything you could imagine, we have. Basically, our bots have been crushing it lately. SM bot, surge bot, hybrid bot, sniper bot. They've been doing a great job. So if you want in on the action, definitely check out the first link in the description, in the comments down below. We will be adding some new features this holiday season. I don't want to give too many specifics just yet, but it should be very exciting. And then, Tom, the unusual options activity lately has been on one of its greatest runs that I think it has ever had. These big money traders have sure been banking this holiday season. So great stuff there. Again, if you guys want in on the action, check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. And Tom, while you're in the Discord, we might as well give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Artie, in the Profits channel, which had a great trade on Friday with ARM. And he sure crushed it with these call options. How about it?
Oh my gosh, 2,822%. Mike, I thought that was a dollar amount when I first read that.
God.
Like, what the 2,800%? That is nice. So, hey, great trades on ARM, Artie. I'm glad you caught those ones on Friday. That was nice.
There we go. But again, definitely check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. But it should be a very exciting week. No matter what, I would say the theme is to be adaptable. As always, guys, there's been a ton of bullish momentum. But at the same time, you know, that bullish momentum can accelerate and the market can keep going higher and higher and higher, or it can slow down and fizzle out, right? The key is to be adaptable, you know, follow the flows, and let's end 2023 on an amazing note. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's crush it this week.